$500 per XRP? Let's talk about it. Yeah, this woman that talked about it has really, knocked me in the cherries. Because the moment I read about it, I was pretty speechless. But I want you guys' take on this one. So guys, make sure you press that like button right now. And let's dive into what this ex-Wells Fargo treasury manager had to say about the XRP price. As she was basically saying, $100 to $500 should be feasible in the next half a year or so. And there was a lot of skepticism, and I'd say rightfully so, because if you're hyping the people up saying, hey, XRP is going to go from 70 cents to $500 potentially in less than half a year, or actually 7 months, yeah, people get confused over that type of stuff. Drinking some bubbly water because I've got no champagne, but I still feel like in a little bit of a bubbly mood or something, Let's take a look. XRP to skyrocket to $500 within 7 months, predicts Wells Fargo treasury manager. Well, I actually saw the article a while ago, like 2 hours ago, and I saw the tweets, I think yesterday. Yeah, but most of the time when I see people talk about price, I see this every day. I get too self-conscious and I think, I can't talk about that. It's stupid, right? Because even though I personally think $100, $500 is inevitable for XRP, $100 is pretty much within reach. And it could theoretically speaking happen within a couple of years. $500 takes a little bit more effort. And I'm not so sure what the push to that price level is going to be. So I don't like to too much talk about it. However, right now the crypto community is pretty hyped up here. And so Let's take a look at what's being said, because this is being spread around the crypto community like wildfire. And I think tomorrow, because this was just posted an hour or so ago, I think tomorrow this is going to have hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of views. So people are wondering what I think about it, I hope. Because right at the end of the day, we have to stay realistic with our expectations. I'm in it for hopefully the right reasons, and so are you. So let's discuss, all right? So the article itself states this. XRP to skyrocket to $500 predicts Wells Fargo treasury manager, and it's based around Thorpe. Now, Thorpe we've actually covered in the past, and a lot of people have voiced their opinions quite recently, but here's the full-on thread. And yeah, it's a pretty long one, but sit tight. And as I said before, guys, make sure you press that like button. Let's dive in. People have long asked, what will be the price of XRP? When will this utility come? In my opinion, now more than ever, I see a divided XRP army. One side looking at only charts, taking cues from the past, and trends that follow Bitcoin to draw short-term price predictions, which is what we've done very often, because I still believe the moment that Bitcoin starts rising, XRP will outshine, but it's going to be the moment that Bitcoin does start. Whilst others cling to utility, believing that partnerships and replacement of antiquated systems will drive the price. Neither side has been correct, nor in the future will either side be correct. XRP, for those not in the know, is not a security. Why would we continue to pretend it is and make price predictions based on securities in the crypto space? This seems counterintuitive and holds back what the team Ripple set off to do many years ago. Quote, if you dare to challenge the status quo, you must first believe in what you own and know that anything is possible, end quote. I've been asked to give my price prediction with no time frame, no clear understanding of circulating supply, or firm dollar amount that equates to a start. All listed items are subject to change and will over time. We are just over 2 weeks from the SEC versus Ripple ruling, 1 week after the Fed Now announcement. Congress has just passed the proposed crypto regulation bill to the Senate, and we are just 9 days into testing Fed Now with banks. Now, Valil Capital has written a whole white paper on the XRP price, and I will not pretend to think I know any of that math they did. People look at the document in shock and say there is no way. Those are the guys that predicted, $35,000, $50,000, $10,000 per XRP. People look at that document in shock and say there is no way. Most of this is due to our own chart analysts stating that it's not the charts to do that, or not in them. Here's a small problem I have with the charts. If you set a range for XRP, let's say $1 to $5, you're ultimately saying that if one company owned all the XRP, yes, all 100 billion of them, they would have a liquidity strength of $100 to $500 billion. Keep in mind, there's a very small burn rate for each transaction regardless of the amount. This liquidity strength does not account for any growth in the economy. The action of messaging and settling, nor the 24/7 365 benefits we receive using XRP. Swift handles about 45 million messages a day. There are just messages, not settlements, and only half of what the XRP can do. Now, let's say the dollar value for Swift is $7 trillion a day, not 24/7 or 365. If Ripple, through its 10-year of innovation and partnerships, were only to be able to grab 30% of Swift's value, that will be $2.1 trillion in daily value, approximately 13.2 million messages. Now, you may say that XRP settles in 1 to 5 seconds, and that the liquidity would be there. Yes, settlements are quick. However, if it were to send a 750 mil transaction with a liquidity strength of, say, $1, that's roughly 10% of all the bank's XRP, if one bank were to have it all. Furthermore, there is more than one client, and no one wants to break that 750 mil into 750,000, 1,000 transactions, each having a burn rate. Now, I don't think the burn rate is annoying, but this splitting up would be rather annoying. I understand. You still want a price prediction. Let's account for all the banks globally, all the XRP that has been burnt, all the XRP you and I own, all the XRP given to other large banks, and the XRP given to the creators. Now that the XRP that is on liquidity hubs and exchanges and present an amount that represents a range. Make it simple. If I had to guess, 50 to 75 billion XRP at any one time, supporting the liquidity strength. Now spread that across, say, 300 to 1,000 different banks, liquidity providers, and governments. $1 times 75 billion is $75 billion. $75 billion divided by 1,000 banks is $75 million, or 75 million XRP dollars for each bank and or liquidity provider. Assume all big banks will have more XRP and that small banks will use more liquidity providers. Assume banks and liquidity providers will purchase from exchanges / us, and assume Ripple has released all of their XRP from escrow to get to 75 billion. If the circulating supply is less than 75, price per XRP is exponentially higher. Given liquidity strength is roughly 75 million per bank, and JP Morgan being a top tier bank moving more than $8 trillion a day, and say due to service overlaps with Swift and the assumption that Ripple only captured 10% of that market, equaling $800 billion. Remember, only 75 billion XRP is out there. $1 is not enough to move that kind of money, but that should go without saying. This is just cross-border transactions, not derivatives, real estate, CBDC, to include but not limited to foreign countries, banks, and projects. Technical parallels and NFTs, so it's hard for you to still believe Valil Capital and their price predictions. Now, the part you all have been waiting for. My prediction is anywhere from $100 to $500 near short term, 4 to 7 months. Why? It all boils down to liquidity strength. If XRP is $100 at a supply of, say, only 50 billion, that makes a liquidity strength of 5 trillion, and at $500 gives you a liquidity strength of 25 trillion. This gives the market room to breathe, allows for growth, and ensures no one company needs to own billions of XRP to perform day-to-day operations. Now, how and when this will happen? How and when, for me, are tied together. It has been always what the creators have stated, quote, a flip of the switch. I say this as I believe there will be / has been an evaluation of XRP like gold, and this is how they will price you out. This is what I believe Rosa Rios meant when she said the train has left the station. And this is how the governments control the next world of finance. It's kind of funny. I made a video recently called, the switch has been flipped. I made a video recently called The Train Has Left the Station, talking yesterday about Rosa Rios, and then the day after this came out. And honestly, the majority of people answering here are pretty ecstatic about these thoughts, saying, yeah, it's a simple equation of supply and demand, where if the supply of XRP stays where it is or becomes increasingly smaller, or smaller increasing, if you know what I mean, just inflating, but only up to a certain point, so that there's still, in theory, deflation of the total supply, yet the demand keeps increasing, the price has to go up. I actually, little controversial piece perhaps, agree with her for the most part, in that I do believe it's actually not too crazy, the majority of what she says. Where I disagree is her time frame. Short-term 4 to 7 months is, in my opinion, just too short for many of these things to pop on off. I mean, does it make sense for, the XP price to be higher than what it is right now? I've stated this many times through what David Swartz, the C2 at Ripple, said. A small price for XRP just doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things. It needs to be high. But 4 to 7 months, is that enough for all these banking partnerships to shine? Is that enough for all these NDAs to clear? Is that enough for a lot of these CBDCs to hop on, for all this real estate to be tokenized? Is that enough? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Ripple has been working with so many banks all across the world. Yet, if we're looking at the announced partnerships, even on the CBDC front, it's not that many in comparison to what they've got in the pipeline. So, is it mostly just going to be speculation then? Is it mostly going to be the banks just hoarding it themselves? Or who is going to make this price appreciate? You might state, yeah, they're going to price you out. But who exactly is going to do that straight off the bat? I mean, even if banks were to want to own XRP, which I understood, it has to be a collaborative effort, you'd assume. Or is it a bidding war against these banks between each other? But then again, why the quick time span? Why such a little amount of months when the majority of these banks will only start shining in a couple of years from now? If you guys understand my drift. Now, counter argument is that they want to be in before the other banks, right? And I can agree with you again, but then comes a question. Which exact bank is buying when? Because then, from that perspective, haven't all the banks that Ripple wants to work with and already actually seen this and then bought in? Is Ripple, through even knowing that, still manipulating the price? And you might even add, how many secret deals has Ripple done in the background to a lot of these banks that bought XRP at a discounted rate, for example, that the market still does not know of? How many banks still hold XRP as of this point? Or are you guys saying, well, no, it's actually because these banks are not fully in the clear and the regulations regarding holding XRP are clearing now. But then another problem was the custody of cryptocurrency assets, which needs to be fixed before these masses will start buying. Or are they only going to start buying the moment there's an XRP ETF? Like, what's exactly stopping these is what I don't fully understand in terms of the timeline. I'd personally say, no, they're going to start once it's actually proven XRP is what it is, which, takes a little while. But on a contrary, you might say, no, they've proven themselves a while ago, and all it takes was the clarity, which it's gotten from a certain perspective, and now it takes the execution, which for major parties like this takes a couple months. Yeah, there's sense in that. Do I agree $100 to $500 in this time span? No, I think it's too high. But then again, I should always say, you never know for sure. That is true. I just personally don't see it happening that quickly. I will be amazed, though, if it does happen, and I will definitely come and give her a little kiss if she turns out to be correct. She says, however, it's on the conservative side, which makes me a little bit fearful because I wouldn't say this is a conservative estimation. But that's where people are saying basically that, $100 is too little, $500 is more accurate. And what I've also seen is a lot of people priced in that XRP is going to be working with X in a lot of different fields, and they put multipliers for a lot of other factors as well. I find all of that really hard to do because it's hard to prove. And at the end of the day, guys, I make my investment decisions on a pretty serious note. I honestly believe if you've got $1,000, $10,000, or a little bit more than that to your name, you care a lot about, making the most amount of money quickly. But the moment you've got your wealth, it's more about how to make sure I've got the right vehicle for the next couple of years and how to make sure my money stays the same and grows over time. So from that perspective, I don't need $100, $500 XRP, but I just like to be realistic about what I think is possible. And do I think it's possible? Certainly. But does it make sense for this to happen so quickly? No, not in my personal view. So I'm going to let you guys decide in the comment section. Please do. Do you think it's going to happen in the next couple of months? Or do you think she's really ridiculously stupid to the brain for even saying this? I know people will call me delusional too, or will say something again, but it doesn't matter. All right. At the end of the day, we're all on our own journey. I'm just sharing the news with you that's going to be viewed, well, actually was already by 800,000 people. So, I wanted to give my quick take on it, but I also want to know from you guys what you think about it. As I said, the majority of people are calling it brilliant and are very excited about it. And again, from a demand perspective, makes a lot of sense. But let me know what you think down below. And make sure you put that notification bell on so you never miss out on another video. Because what if something crazy happens tomorrow, right? You want to be notified, and that's about it.